G'day guys, I just wanted to provide a short video to help you understand how to integrate methods of levels, curiosity and the style of conversation with qualitative interviewing. So if you're seeing this video through myself or throughout your degree, you might have come across qualitative inquiry and also methods of levels. And I wanted to provide a specific video on basically how ideally we can get you to ask the right questions post virtual reality exposure. So this is roughly the guidance that I'd like to deliver. And the example is basically I'm just going to fly off the cuff and pretend that I'm talking to a participant and provide you with some insight into the type of process that generates good questions, at least what I believe to be the case. So essentially, let's say you're with the participant and you've got they've just taken the headset off and you're about to ask the first question. So first off, we want to keep it very generic, because the more general we can keep it, the better, because remember, this is an inductive process. So we want to keep it pretty vague. So when the headset is removed, you're going to be asking a question along these lines. You're pretty much going to say, so how was that experience generally for you? And that can be your line, or that can be along the lines of what you want to deliver. And then their response to that is important, because they can go in any way, right? They can say whatever their experience was like for them, which is almost infinite. So you can't prepare for that. At least not completely. You can have in the back of your mind an idea of the kind of response that you're going to provide, which is keep it general. So you want to keep it general for the first little bit. You don't want to zero in exactly onto your specific project questions and say, how is that free will for you? You want to keep it very, very generic at the start. So that's the first little tip. The other tip is the general process through which it helps when thinking about generating a question. So the way I'd like you to think about it is, you have, as someone gives you a response, that response contains lots of different pieces of information. How do you decide what to ask about within that response? Because there's lots to ask about, right? There's lots of opportunity. I want you to zero in on where the question marks are. I want you to zero in on what seems deserving of more inquiry. So I want you to begin to develop a flavor for what that is like. So each response has little bits of information that some of them are kind of self-explanatory, and some of them contain more question marks. They can contain more opportunity for expansion. So an example is, let's say someone takes up the headset and they say, all right, that experience was interesting. It was, but then it got a little bit boring when I kind of felt like I'd explored enough. Where do you ask the next question from that? What is deserving of expansion there? Well, for myself, there's a lot of ways you could do that, but an example of what's deserving is the word enough. Why did they choose enough? What does that mean to say enough? What is enough for you? So that's the style of question generation we're looking for, is really like, what is deserving of expansion? And then obviously, the more you go throughout the interview process, you want to make that as focused on your project specific scope as possible. So those are the two tips that I want to give you. The last tip is, as you're drawing closer to the end of the interviewing session, the retrospective video analysis, you want to ask, the final question I want you guys to ask is a description, a summary of the overall experience. So we want to say something along the lines of, okay, you've now experienced, we've now talked about your experience a lot. How would you describe that overall experience? Just how would you describe that? That's kind of what we're looking for at the end, to get a big picture perspective. Oftentimes those those responses that people give once they've consolidated their thoughts on their experience are quite useful when you're doing your thematic analysis. That's about it for me. I hope this video was somewhat useful, and yeah, let me know if it was. That'd be awesome. Cheers.